The plague killed around 100 million people over the course of just 7 years, at a time when the global population stood at just 475 million. In England alone, it wiped out around half the population of the entire country. And of course, the vast majority of those victims would have been white. But wait, the BBC and demented lefty academics have found a way to make the plague racist. And not because they called it the Black Death. Black women most likely to die in medieval London plague. Oh yes, all those black women roaming around London in... checks notes. The mid-1300s. Black women of African descent were more likely to die of the medieval plague in London, academics at the Museum of London have found. The study is the first archaeological exploration showing how racism influenced a person's risk of death during what was known as the Great Pestilence or Great Mortality. The first study? Really? Wonder why no one cared about it before. Are these the same people who told us that black sub-Saharan Africans built Stonehenge? The research concluded that higher death rates amongst people of colour and those of black African descent was a result of the devastating effects of pre-modern structural racism in the medieval world. Because it's not enough inventing structural racism where it doesn't exist in the modern era. They have to go back 700 years to politicise the medieval era too. I didn't know the UK version of the Babylon Bee was actually BBC News. Breaking: world ends tomorrow. Black community expected to be hit the hardest. Both black women who lived in 14th century London died of the plague, thus proving England had always been structurally racist. BBC intern: sorry boss, we couldn't find any race baiting stories today. BBC boss: just find me something, I don't care what it is. BBC interns: the population of the whole of England in 1350 was about 5 million. The black population of England in the 1300s was around 0.006%. That's about 300 people. The population of London was around 50,000. Because London was a highly populated area, let's quadruple the percentage of black people living. That still means that there were about 12 black people living in London in the 1350s. And that's a generous figure. Halve it to get the women, 6. Then half of them died in the plague, 3. Their entire potential sample size is about 3. Lo and behold, we discover that they actually miraculously found all 3 skeletons of black African women who died of the plague in London. Absolute total and utter bollocks. There's no such thing as race until it's time to find black people in medieval London, then a tooth, skull fragment or shin bone is more than enough to verify it. They then took that dodgy beyond belief data and used it to confidently determine that structural racism was a serious issue in medieval Britain and that you should probably feel a little bit more white guilt because of it. All the while surreptitiously inserting the narrative into the minds of clueless normies that 14th century England was a diverse society, when it wasn't, and that England has always been a diverse country, when it hasn't. Imagine being that desperate to push the message. Get early access to videos, exclusive live streams, and personally DM me. You've seen how much I get demonetized all the time. Well, this is how you support me. By subscribing at pauljosephwatson.locals.com. Please click the link in the description.